It's an important perspective here, Todd, because you mentioned some of the runway that was needed there with regard to seeing some of these themes play out. And for those people who did invest in artificial intelligence themed ETFs a year or two ago, they're starting to reap those benefits. So let's talk about those AI themed ETFs. They're getting inflows this year. Of course they are. They did last year as well. Which ones are the ones that stick out to you with regard to that AI kind of thematic investing ETF approach?
Yeah, so I imagine Dave's going to be able to talk about one of his ETFs, Chat, CHAT. So I'll set him up for that in a moment. But some of the other popular ETFs, BOTZ is a Global X robotics and artificial intelligence ETF that's seen strong inflows. There's also a Robo Global Artificial Intelligence ETF, THNQ, that performed very well in 2023 and is starting to see demand in 2024. We think that the thematic trend towards artificial intelligence is still in the early stages. NVIDIA has obviously been the poster child for the success, but we think there's room for small and mid-sized companies as well to be a participant in this, and we think the revenue growth is quite strong. So this is a theme that started a couple of years ago. It picked up last year. It's carrying on with the legs. We expect we'll see investors continuing to buy throughout the year.
Dave, let's talk about that offering that Roundhill has with regard to kind of advanced tech, artificial intelligence. What kind of investor interest are you seeing? Just how rapidly are the flows shifting around? Do you view this as something where things are consistently moving towards this theme of AI? Or has it become a little bit more choppy, where again, maybe short-term traders and investors are taking more volatile views and managing their risk around these positions in those types of ETFs on a more day-to-day or week-by-week basis instead of, say, for the longer term?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's been a lot of talk about whether the market is actually broadening out from just the Magnificent Seven stocks that were clearly the leaders last year. And we're starting to see some of that play out, of course. But what's interesting is when we think about the AI theme, and at least the flows that we're seeing in our Chat ETF, is it's most certainly broadening out. The performance of those companies, it's not just NVIDIA. It's Super Micro, another company that's doing really interesting things in the generative AI space. And now investors are beginning to turn their attention, not just from the picks and shovels, but from companies that are able to benefit from the use of generative AI in their application. So names like Salesforce or a ServiceNow come to mind, where they're integrating that to make users more productive. So one of the benefits that we see with generative AI is it can make everyone a power user, everyone a super user. And it's not just one or two folks who may be able to leverage that technology or be skilled in that way. So we're seeing it performance-wise with our ETF. The focus using active management to identify these companies has paid off with really strong performance relative to the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 by, again, focusing on the well-known names, your NVIDIAs of the world, those picks and shovels and the enablers, but also beginning to dip down into some smaller companies based outside of the U.S. that are also benefiting from the move for consumers and enterprises into generative AI.
All right, we've taken a lot of micro approaches to some of these themes right now. Todd, I'm going to give you the last word here. As somebody who watches all of these ETF flows across the entire market, can you take us through what you're seeing in terms of those flows, activity, trading volumes that may indicate to you a direction for this market? I know there's no crystal ball, but are there more people that are still now bullish on the market? Are people going long this market a little bit more often? Or is there a pickup now in some of these kind of inverse-related ETFs or ones that are more conservative out there with regard to the next growth story in the market?
So what's interesting is in 2023, the market climbed higher and then ETF flows started to pick up in the fourth quarter. We didn't see the same level of demand. This year, equity ETF demand has been quite strong. We saw two of the strongest months that we've seen in recent time periods in January and February to start the year as the equity markets have climbed higher. We've started to see also demand for some quality-oriented ETFs, so higher quality ETFs like QUAL from iShares or SPHQ, which is an Invesco ETF, that shows that investors are slightly nervous about the equity markets, but still wanting to have exposure given the strong earnings trends. We haven't seen the same level of demand in people betting against the market. It seems to be people are betting for the market using equity ETFs in the first couple of months.